Scientist does some horrible thing. In Greece, they used to use little 14-year-old boys as like fleshlights. Fucked them all back in the day.
them all.
Right? They did back in the day. Every scientist, Pythagoras, fucking every little kid, right? That was just what it was. You had it.
Yeah.
The science exists. We separate those.
Right.
We're not going to stop using antibiotics because Alexander Fleming did some foul shit back in the day.
Right.
Can we do that with art? Or should we?
I think the distinction that they always make is like, we need those inventions in terms of science because it's like life important. You know, if you come up with a vaccine, but you've raped 100 people, they're still not going to throw away the vaccine because it potentially will help and save folks. So I think they'll make a distinction between that and art. That's the argument they would make.
Rogan said this. He goes, all right, go.
Yeah, well, the question he asked in the podcast is, are we saying science is less important than art? And I would say, yeah, we are. Also, I think...
More important than art.
Science is more important than art.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah.
Also, I think with artists, when they put out their art, that's like, you feel like you know them and you connect the two.
The art is a reflection of who
you.
they are.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Pythagoras' theorem wasn't a reflection of... It's just,
That existed and he discovered it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas art is something that actually comes from you and you create.
From your soul.
Question. What about if art is so powerful and so therapeutic that it has almost scientific ramifications? Like, I think there are people that feel so good when they listen to Michael Jackson's music.
Right.
And it evokes so many emotions, maybe like childhood stuff or whatever it is. It makes them feel so fucking good. Well, some people, a lot of childhood emotions. But like, can that reach the level of science?
Here's one difference. An artist, it's like the double-edged sword. If you get famous for your creation, you get worship for your creation.
Yeah.
Alexander Fleming, I didn't even know who the fuck he was until 10 seconds ago. You don't desire or enter this business for fame necessarily. You might get fame within your community, but within your community, the people who worship you, if they find out Alexander Fleming fucks kids, might be like, yo, fuck that. Fuck that dude. Foul ass motherfucker.
Science isn't necessarily performative, whereas like art is kind of like inherently performative.
You're doing it because you want some sort of like credit. You want some
Not
sort of
necessarily
validation.
like want adulation, but like it's just sort of goes with the territory. Like
So
it's impossible to be a singer without singing. You know what I mean? Like the very like it's intrinsic to being a singer that you must perform.
Rogan brought up an interesting one. He said the guy who created like fertilizer. You guys heard about this one?
No.
Maybe.
I think like the same type of formula used for the fertilizer, I could be getting this wrong, was used for the gas where they gas the Jews.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about this.
Something like that?
Yeah,
Is it
yeah.
Zyklon B or
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then
that's
Zyklon A
Yeah.
is like the fertilizer or something like that. Zyklon B. Whatever. So apparently, while they're gassing Jews, he's winning the fucking Nobel Peace Prize. While they're gassing Jews with the exact same thing. And understandably so for the Nobel Peace Prize, because how many people are getting fed because now you can actually fertilize these crops. There's way more crops out there. Go.
Just to add to your
That'd be
point,
$6
the whole
million.
Nobel Peace Prize.
What?
The whole guy that invented the Nobel Peace Prize. You know his story?
What's that?
Literally the guy, I think it's like Alfred Nobel or some shit.
Okay.
He's the guy that invented dynamite. Yeah. He invented dynamite.
What?
He's the guy that invented dynamite. He invents his dynamite, start getting used in like wars and people are blowing each other up and shit.
That's
and
how you create peace.
Someone writes an article where they're like, "Oh yeah, Alfred Nobel, you know, the agent of death or some shit like that." Where they're like, they basically gave him the title of like, "Oh yeah, this guy invented death and like killed all these people." And he was like, "Oh shit, I can't be remembered as the guy that killed all these people."
Yeah.
So he went out and started this fund and this charity basically to be like, "No, we got to reward like humanitarians." So like he literally invented the Nobel Peace Prize
Out of guilt.
out of guilt because he kills so many people.
So he's like those white people rubbing black people's feet during these protests now.
I guess.
Is that what they're doing? They're rubbing feet?
Bro, you didn't see this
apparently.
fucking...
I didn't
this
do
shit got to be set up, E.
One of them was set up. One guy was like walking up to white women and he's like, "Do you believe Black Lives Matter?" And she's like, "Yeah."
Bend
It's
the
like,
knee.
You bend the knee. Bitch was like, I was like, what is happening? Some of it is a setup. Some of it is a setup to just basically straw man the movement. But to come back to your point about the product, I feel like with art, it's hard to measure the impact it has on people. A vaccine, you take it, you get better, or you prevents you from disease. We know it.
Yeah.
With art, you can say it makes people feel great and all this stuff. But it's just like most people's problems. If they really can't see the impact, they don't believe it or they don't really care.
Yeah.
You know, I can talk about inequality all I want.
Yeah.
But watching a black man get snuffed in front of me is always going to have more impact because there's a visual. Even though this problem is more important and it is bigger, that is always going to make people feel more. And that same token, art may have more of an impact on people's happiness levels and fighting off depression and all this other shit. But a vaccine's always going to hit home harder. So it's just... people's minds are not apt to understand problems.
And you can quantify it, like you can quantify how many lives you save with a vaccine. You can't quantify how many people were going to kill themselves until they heard this guy's music or whatever. That's all like...
Yo, totally separate note. You know how like Corona went out of business because of Corona?
Yeah. Yeah, the beer went out
of business. The beer went out of
the
business.
Virus.
Oh, it's actually did?
Y'all didn't hear about this? No. I heard they like stopped production or something like that. I mean, it's such a big beer distributor. They're probably owned by some other big company. They'll probably figure it out. But it was severely affected.
Yeah.
Right? Has Advil not taken a hit?
I'm sure they have.
Because everybody blamed... Like, I'm not taking Advil no more ever.
For what?
They said... I
know what I heard about this?
No.
The initial study...
That shit makes you gay, bro. They said... They found out.
Fuck, where are you getting these stories?
Yo.
That is true, though.
Yeah.